A good bounce back win for us today. I thought we started the game with the right tone on the defensive end, and so that was that was by design for us to get back.
What was scheduled to be nothing more than a routine, closed-door evaluation camp quietly unfolding in Durham, North Carolina turned into something far bigger than anyone inside USA basketball anticipated. The calendar was locked. The invite list was finalized. Media access was intentionally restricted, kept comfortably outside the facility, waiting for the usual sanitized press releases and safe quotes that always follow these camps. Everything was supposed to run exactly according to plan. But sometime around 2 a.m. early Saturday morning, something strange started to leak out. Reports began circulating that the lights inside the gym were still on. Not just one court light, all of them. Even more alarming, members of Team USA leadership weren't heading home. They were gathered in a closed-door emergency meeting that was never listed on the official itinerary. And before we go any further, make sure you're subscribed to Court Queens, because moments like this, the ones nobody wants public, are where the real power shifts in women's basketball actually happen. So why the sudden panic? Because something unfolded on that court that simply was not supposed to happen. According to multiple insiders who were present inside the facility, Caitlin Clark didn't just return to Team USA activities. In less than an hour, she completely upended the internal hierarchy the program has relied on for decades. The frantic conversations that followed weren't about substitutions, rotations, or execution. They were about containment. To understand why this single practice detonated the room, you have to zoom out and look at the last 18 months. Everyone remembers the 2024 Olympic exclusion, the debates, the outrage, the endless arguments. And yes, the gold medal Team USA ultimately won, an outcome the establishment used as proof that their system didn't need her. That result gave the old guard all the justification they wanted. For a year and a half, the messaging stayed consistent. Caitlin Clark is special, no question, but she's only one piece. Not the centerpiece. She needed to wait. She needed to fall in line. She needed to learn the international game and respect the order before she could ever be handed real control. But Clark did something no one inside the system expected. She said nothing. No public frustration. No interviews throwing shots. No passive-aggressive social media posts. She quietly skipped the flashy unrivaled 3-on-3 league in January 2025, walking away from a massive paycheck to focus entirely on her body, her conditioning, and her skill development. Then she spent the entire 2025 WNBA season evolving. Stronger, faster, sharper. Carrying the Indiana Fever on a deep playoff run that eliminated nearly every remaining critic. So when she arrived in Durham this December, she wasn't the exhausted college phenom anymore. She wasn't the skinny rookie still adjusting to physical play. She was a fully matured professional, built to attack the exact defensive concepts Team USA has leaned on for years. The tension began immediately. When equipment was distributed, insiders describe what felt like a calculated message. Caitlin Clark was not issued her iconic number 22. Instead, she was handed number 17. To casual fans, that may seem meaningless. A jersey is a jersey. But at this level, inside the deeply political ecosystem of USA basketball, nothing is accidental. 22 is her identity. It's her brand. It's tied to record-breaking merchandise sales and an entirely new generation of fans. Removing it was a subtle reminder. You are not the center of this program. Clark didn't object. She didn't question it. She didn't post about it. She simply put the jersey on. But multiple staff members noticed the change instantly. The smiles disappeared. The grateful to be here vibe vanished. She looked like someone who had just been handed a reason to make everyone uncomfortable. And if you're already locked into this story, hit that like button and drop a comment, because what happened next explains everything. The practice opened with normal routines. Layup lines, defensive slides, basic warm-ups. But the atmosphere was heavy. Watching from the sidelines were two pillars of the sport. Sue Bird, now operating in an evaluation and leadership role. And Diana Taurasi, whose presence alone has fueled speculation. Despite retirement rumors earlier in 2025, Taurasi was there, uniform on, possibly to test the next generation, possibly to reinforce the culture she helped build. Head coach Cheryl Reeve divided the players into scrimmage groups. The structure was obvious. Veterans versus the new wave. A familiar setup designed to humble younger players through physicality, force mistakes, and preserve hierarchy. It's a blueprint that has worked for 2 decades. But Caitlin Clark never got the memo. Everything changed during a 37-second sequence in the second quarter. The moment insiders say triggered the emergency designation. The veterans scored a tough, physical basket inside. Classic Team USA basketball. They talked. They settled into half-court defense. They expected Clark to slow the pace and run the system. Instead, she took the inbound and accelerated. 3 dribbles. Half-court. No glance toward the sideline. The defender sagged just slightly, respecting the drive. That hesitation was fatal. Clark pulled from 30 feet, a shot traditionalists hate, and the ball was through the net before anyone reacted. Next possession, the veterans tried to go inside again. Clark jumped the lane, made a defensive read critics said she couldn't make, and stole the ball clean. 2 defenders chased her down in transition. The smart play would have been a pass or drawing contact. Instead, Clark stopped cold at the arc, let both defenders fly past, and drilled another deep 3. Then came the dagger. Frustrated, the veterans trapped her at half court, the kind of pressure that has shut down offenses for years. Clark didn't panic. She split the trap with a behind-the-back move, sent both defenders into each other, stepped back, and hit a third straight logo 3. 37 seconds. 9 points. Total collapse. The gym went silent. No trash talk. No celebration. One witness described it as funeral quiet. According to the leak, Sue Bird didn't clap. She leaned toward an assistant coach and whispered 4 words that may define the future of USA basketball. She broke everything. Not the score. The structure. Even Taurasi didn't respond. No barking. No demand for the ball. She subbed herself out, sat down, and stared at the floor. A realization moment. The torch wasn't being passed, it was being taken. And this is why the meeting became an emergency. Cheryl Reeve's philosophy is built on control, balance, and seniority. But what happened exposed a terrifying truth. You cannot coach Caitlin Clark like everyone else. Forcing her into rigid systems makes the team worse. Insiders say the staff realized they were trying to drive a Ferrari like a school bus. Before we move into the fallout in the next clip, subscribe to Court Queens and share this breakdown, because this is the moment the entire program changed. The jersey move backfired. They tried to minimize her. Instead, they unleashed her. Strip away the branding, the expectations, the noise, and what remains is even more dangerous. This wasn't just a bad practice. It was the end of an era, and everyone in that building knew it. She played that practice with a level of edge that genuinely rattled the veterans in the gym. This wasn't the composed, encouraging version of Clark that WNBA fans have grown used to seeing night after night. In the league, she carries the responsibility of lifting her teammates, steadying young players, and keeping everyone involved. But inside that closed-door USA basketball run, she wasn't there to nurture anyone. She was there to break resistance. Multiple insiders described her energy as relentless. Every cut was sharper. Every decision was faster. Every shot felt intentional. This wasn't about fitting in or proving she belonged. This was about making sure no one could deny what they were seeing. The leak also highlighted a moment late in the session that perfectly captures why this camp shook the program to its core. Near the end of the run, Cheryl Reeve stopped play to correct Clark on a defensive rotation. To be fair, it was a legitimate critique. Defense has always been the most common knock on Clark's game, and Reeve has built her reputation on demanding precision and discipline on that end of the floor. In the past, that moment would have played out predictably. A young player nods, says, "Yes, coach." Eyes down. Message received. Hierarchy reinforced. That's not what happened. According to multiple accounts, Clark looked Reeves straight in the eye. No argument. No attitude. Just a calm nod. And then, on the very next possession, she took control of the offense and attacked the exact same defensive vulnerability on the other end, creating a clean scoring opportunity and finishing the play. No words were exchanged. None were needed. The message was unmistakable. I hear you, but I also see things you don't. This is the new reality facing Team USA. That emergency meeting wasn't about cleaning up mistakes from a bad practice. It was about confronting a broken paradigm. For more than 20 years, this program has operated under an unspoken code. You wait your turn. You defer to seniority. You earn trust slowly. You play the right way. Caitlin Clark walked into Durham and demonstrated that the right way is no longer fast enough. And before we go any further, hit that like button and drop a comment, because the fallout from this moment is going to divide fans more than anything we've seen in years. The consequences of this camp are going to be enormous. Insiders are already bracing for a significant roster shakeup. Long-standing assumptions are being questioned in real time. The whispers about Diana Taurasi returning for one more World Cup now feel increasingly unrealistic. Not because she can't still play, but because leadership at this level is about setting the tone. And it's hard to lead when the best player on the floor is operating at a speed and range that belongs to a different era of basketball. As for Cheryl Reeve, the clock is officially ticking. She's now facing a career-defining choice. Does she become the coach who adapted and ushered in the Caitlin Clark era? Or does she become the coach remembered for resisting change until the game passed her by? The 2026 World Cup in Berlin is coming fast. And the rest of the world is catching up. France is deep. Australia is physical. The margins are shrinking. Team USA can no longer afford to sideline its most devastating weapon simply because they don't like how she operates the controls. The leak from Durham wasn't gossip. It was a warning shot. This transition of power isn't coming in 2028. It's not coming next cycle. It already happened. At 2 a.m. in a silent gym in North Carolina, while the old guard sat in a conference room trying to understand how control slipped away so quickly. The jersey may have said 17, but everyone inside that building knew exactly who the real number one was. The move was meant to humble her. Instead, it freed her. And now, Team USA is scrambling to rebuild its identity around the very player it once tried to minimize. The urgency is real. The panic is real. And the Caitlin Clark era is no longer theoretical. It has officially begun, whether the program is comfortable with it or not. But there's one final detail from the leak that might say more than everything else combined. As practice ended and players filed off the court, exhausted and drenched in sweat, a young ball boy reportedly asked Clark to sign his shoes. In a gym filled with gold medalists, MVPs, and living legends, the kid ran past all of them, straight to the player wearing number 17. Clark signed the shoes. No smile. No show. She slung her bag over her shoulder and walked out, passing the conference room where coaches were just starting their emergency session. She didn't need to be in that meeting. She had already delivered her message on the court. And for the fans, the takeaway is clear. Don't worry about the jersey number. Don't dwell on past snubs. What's coming is a version of Team USA we've never seen before. Faster, louder, more dangerous, and led by a player who refused to wait for permission. That meeting may have been an emergency for the coaches, but for the rest of the world, it was a notification. The game has changed. This was the tipping point. The silence in that gym was the sound of the old era collapsing. The snap of the net from 30 feet out was the sound of the future arriving. And it didn't arrive quietly.